it's important that you don't keep quiet. It's important that you don't keep silent. It's also important that you don't ignore it at all, because as simple as, you were looking forward to so many things. You have the job of your dream, and now all of a sudden you feel like, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to do anything. You start isolating yourself. You start thinking, things that are not supposed to be good for you yourself. You know that very well. You don't just have this energy to do anything, and a lot of the times, it can be attributed to mental illness. So when you start experiencing things, and also people around you, when they start experiencing things and they speak to you about it, it is important that you listen to what they are saying. But then, for those that will be around people that are experiencing some of these things that I have said, sometimes the best way of handling it is for you to seek help on their behalf, because denial is one of the things that also takes place when people are struggling, with mental illness, because they just believe that if I just rest a bit more, I will be okay. If I just cry a bit more, it will be okay. I will shake this depression off. These traumatic events that happen to me, that I keep thinking about it, that keep shutting me down, it just lasts for a week and it will go. But over time, if these things are not professionally dealt with, it causes a whole lot of issues.
So this is a very important one, because I find that in the Black community, our homes, our family, we are always in survival mode. You can survive this. Sometimes we don't acknowledge that something has happened. In certain families, when a traumatic event happens, you don't talk about it. Everybody pretends it never happens. We just keep going as it is. And like you said, it will translate in anger, insecurity, in all different types of ways. So for also our Black families, because you're talking a lot about support system in families, what would you say, talking to our Black families, our parents, our aunties, siblings, about opening lines of communication? Let's acknowledge that something has gone wrong and let's work through it. Another young lady was saying that she's tired of people. She called it toxic positivity. I don't know if there's ever such a thing, but she's tired of people telling her it's well, but then they don't exactly give her the steps to go through sort of the event and work towards being well.
What you just said, that is most of the time, what you are just describing, it can be classified under the diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder, which basically is something that has happened to you before, and now it has caused so much trouble to your mental state. And within our Black community, this is that particular one, we experience it a lot, either because of, like you were saying, because of the family units that we are in. And most of the times within our Black community, mistake is not allowed. A certain mistake you do in life, instead of them to embrace you, even when you desire to change, instead of them to embrace you and to help you through to acquire or to get onto the ladder that you are aspiring to become, or even them introducing that ladder to you and make sure that they hold your hand to get there. Instead, they will use that as a whip to constantly keep hitting you. And that becomes a huge problem, because any of these things that we are talking about, which can be life-threatening, sometimes the suicide rate within the minority community is huge as well. Suicidal thoughts, hallucination, and delusional way of thinking, because reality sometimes has become muddled up. So I will really emphasize on this fact that it is absolutely necessary within our communities. It is absolutely necessary for mothers, fathers, uncles, aunties, brothers and sisters, for us to be that network that the person around you needs, in order for them to to move on. You see, when you talk about those that are taking these recreational drugs or all manner of substances, illegal substances they are taking it, when you speak to them, you see that the only reason a lot of them are taking it is because it takes the war away from them. It makes them think that everything is okay. That that becomes the factor for many of the youth. That is the taking these things, because now they've come to the realization that there is so much going on. I'm thinking about so much. The family expects so much from me. The society is offering less, and the privileges out there is not that much. We are not being really seen as equal, even though on paper we are. But when you go into the real world, I have heard so much, I have seen so much, I've been part of so much, I've experienced so much. Now, the only way that I'm going to believe that these things are not real is by taking drugs. You see, so when you speak to them, you begin to realize that it's a bigger issue, than just the drugs that they are taking. The drugs they are taking, or some of the lifestyle, the violence, is just a result of them trying, to make life better for themselves by acquiring something that they know if they genuinely want to work towards, it becomes difficult. So they resort to, other ways in order to acquire the things that they are desiring. You see, I think that
Now,
when we look at it from that point of view, then we begin to realize that these are the things that are happening, and these are the effects of the things that a lot of the young people are doing.
yeah, in the Black and ethnic community as well, we depend a lot on our faith. And there are faith counselors as well. So as an example of a resource that could be used, I would also advise that our faith communities can also do a bit of work. And they do a bit of work in terms of the delivery of our messages, the worship services we have, their one-on-one counseling service as well. So would you want to touch on that? I mean, how useful that helps? Because I know I've benefited a lot from faith counselors.
You see, it's a whole unit. In care, there is something they call, a holistic support, and spirituality is one of them. Because what faith does is not only the euphoria that the people, as they describe it sometimes, that they feel, but what it does is it speaks hope. And a lot of the times, people that are experiencing hopelessness, more especially when mental illness is involved, people that feel that they are in an environment where love is being projected, where love is being spoken of. That is why I was saying that even before we go to the platform of faith groups, it is absolutely necessary to hear these things from home. And the reason why our faith groups are doing so well is this very reason, because of they are giving you that hope. They are telling you that there is a life beyond what you are experiencing. And even when you tell them what you are experiencing, somehow, they say to you, everything will be okay. And they actually see these things playing right in front of them, where they see that people genuinely, care. And, from my perspective, myself, I am, a believer. I have faith. So that in itself, it's not only in the form of the things that I say, but that is a belief system within me. And because of that, I also know that prayer works. But for people that are not in that area and they are coming, within the body of faith, it is absolutely necessary. The things that they hear, the environments that they find themselves in, it is also, helping them to see other people, other youth like themselves, and other people from different places gathering, and they are not talking about how depressed they are, but they are rather talking about, the hope that is available. They are also talking about, how everything is going to be okay. They are also talking about, the fact that these things will also pass away. Those positive words, they have a very huge impact on your mental state. You see, I think that is why you cannot, overlook faith gathering, or the role that religion plays in good mental state.
Do you believe that there's enough mental health ambassadors within our Black communities? Should there be more mental health ambassadors creating awareness, obviously, for our young people coming up?
Within the mental health industry itself, there are a lot of Black people, but unfortunately, the hierarchy hasn't got a lot of Black people, and that is where the resources that is needed, the understanding that is needed, the legislations itself that they put in place, that is where it comes from. What we are experiencing is you go on the floor and you see a lot of Black people, and the government use this as a statistics, but unfortunately, they know very well that they are just workers. They are just implementing exactly what has been filtered down from the top, and they are just facilitating that. So what I believe we need to do is for, us, the Black community that are already, within the industry, to aspire, to be up there, so that you will influence what happens there to your community. A lot of the rundown communities in London and around United Kingdom, you'll find out that, some of the facilities that has been taken away from the, local council or the local, council estates. These are people that are minority groups. They have taken a lot of facilities away from them. And the only reason why this is happening is because somebody up there who lives somewhere in Chelsea or who lives in one of the privileged boroughs, they don't see the need for you to have that park that you have around you, because, they are in their house, everything that they want is there. So they filter down in every area, of the community within the United Kingdom. That is how they see, the society. And the reality is, me and you, we don't operate in the same mechanism as them. So I feel we need to infiltrate the top. We need to aspire to get there. And when that happens and we start to inject and we start to, pull the strings from the top, and then I believe that the equation will start to balance. But as for now, it is not. But there are lots of Black, minority workers as mental health practitioners. But the top is where the real thing happens.
So in the end, we ultimately need to help ourselves. And what I've gotten so much from what you're saying is that human connection, getting the right support system, having families and friends being open to work through issues and traumas, also accessing your NHS, your counseling services, and also faith counselors if you're in a community of faith as well. So are there any charities that you want to mention quickly that offer any assistance in case anybody would feel more comfortable going to charity?
I mean, there are so many, but I will name one because this is available in every borough around United Kingdom, and this is funded well. It's called Minds, MINDS, Minds. They are mainly a mental health organizations, and all that they do, is to cater, and they provide also activities and meaningful conversations. And when they are aware of your case or you present yourself to them, what they do is they becomes that wing that they direct you in the direction that you need to go. And I feel that has to be or can be a starting point for anyone. It's mainly about mental well-being.
And it serves well because if we're going to be practically honest, it isn't everybody that would have that support system of a family. Some families may not be open to talk about traumatic events as well. So if this is your case where you don't have a support system, please get yourself a mentor who would help you to maintain your mental health. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on here, speaking to us. I hope we've been able to touch on various issues that are sort of a problem to we youth in the Black and ethnic community. But most importantly, I want our viewers to take from this broadcast Let us help ourselves. Let us speak up. Don't feel ashamed. Don't be afraid. Utilize service